Hi, my name is Stephen McGee and I'm the author of Solar Radiation, Global Warming and Human Disease. We're going to talk about one of the subjects of that book, and that is human fatigue and depression. And what most people don't realize today is that most human fatigue and depression is easily preventable. And to prevent that fatigue and depression, you need to know the cause of the fatigue and depression, and that's the hard part. But we've progressed somewhat in just a few years, and today we know that most of these products that are in this image right now can actually cause human fatigue and depression, and by turning them off can remove that human fatigue and depression. So that's the good news. So we're going to talk about some of these products, and the first one is the Wi-Fi network adapter. So this is a wireless router, very standard item in most homes these days, but what most people don't realize that the closer you sit to one of these, the more likely it is to impact your health. And I am very allergic to these devices today. I can't sit very close to these devices without getting sick today. And in a similar vein is the Wi-Fi enabled laptop computer. And the laptop computer has got a whole bunch of issues around it, predominantly that come from everything being in this part of the laptop where your hands are. And you've got a hard drive, so the hard drive generates very strange electromagnetic fields and magnetic fields. And you've got a battery inside it, and that battery creates very strange fields around it. And then all the computer system that is underneath the keyboard, that also generates very strange fields. So it's not a good idea to be putting your hands into these fields. So if you've got a laptop computer, you want to plug a keyboard, monitor and mouse into it, and kind of not really use the laptop computer unless you're traveling. But on a day-to-day use, you don't really want to be putting your hands in these fields that come out of these laptop computers. This particular laptop computer has a very large radio wave field around it. It seems to extend for about 12 feet around the device, and extended exposure to that field will probably long-term make you sick. So something to be aware of with laptop computers is they have very strange fields around them. And one of the other things that tends to go with the laptop computer is the wireless printer. The wireless printer it exhibits a behavior very, very similar to the wireless router. So it appears, particularly this printer, it appears to set up an electromagnetic radiation field around it which is continuous. So it's there 24 hours a day. And the closer you sit to this printer, the more likely it is to impact your health. And I've actually just recovered from having my health impacted by this printer because I was inadvertently sitting in the fields of it for 5 days without realizing that those fields were there. So it was only when I really started getting sick that I actually tested it and found that it had 1,000 millivolts per meter field around it. So yeah, something to be careful of is these wireless networking printers. They look quite harmless, but they can actually be quite the opposite. They can actually be very biologically toxic to the human. So the digital televisions, they're starting to get a bad rap. You need to be very, very careful with digital televisions. People are starting to realize that there's strange fields around them and it's making them sick, and the plants don't grow right near to them. So I no longer use this particular digital television simply because when I have this on, it completely fills my home with radio waves. And those radio waves extend tens of feet. I can have this at one end of the house, and the other end of the house is filled with radio waves. And I have separate videos that show the testing of this particular television. And it was actually affecting plants in my garden. Some plants sprang back into life when I took this out of service. So there's something about the fields that they were actually going outside of the home and affecting stuff that was growing in my garden. So they were very clearly biologically harmful fields being emitted by this television. So here's a couple of sensors here. These are, if you have an indoor and outdoor weather station or an indoor and outdoor temperature sensor, well, these are the outdoor parts of those products. And they behave like pulsed microwave transmitters that are installed by utilities these days. And those pulsed microwave transmitters that utilities are installing are generally called automatic meter readers and smart meters. And from what I can tell, they're all toxic. they all have a certain level of biological toxicity associated with them. So you need to be very, very careful about both these devices that you're willingly buying and installing at your property as weather and temperature sensors, and also the utility meters, because most utility meters, particularly in America today, they all appear to have transmitting devices in them today. So if you've got 3 utility services such as gas, water and electricity, you're probably going to have 3 transmitting devices on your property that are pulsing away. Pulsed microwave radiation is known to be the most toxic form of microwave radiation today. And it appears to be orders of magnitude more toxic than any other form of microwave radiation. So talking about radiation, we need to talk about these light bulbs. So this is a compact fluorescent light. Very typical. We've been getting told to buy these for years to save the planet. That's actually not true. This is one of the biggest lies that the common person's ever been told, is that these light bulbs are going to save the planet. They're actually extremely toxic. They have mercury vapor inside them. They have phosphor coatings. You don't want to break one of these bulbs because it's going to vent those toxic fumes into your house. But they also generate a toxic form of electricity, which is called harmonics and dirty electricity. So if you think you're saving the environment, you're probably doing it at the expense of your own health. And they have a very strange radiation transmission. It's a spiked radiation transmission that you won't find in nature. So these are very, very abnormal light outputting devices. And I don't have these in my home anymore. I used to have my home full with them. And I was like really sick while I had these in my home, and taking them out made me get much better. So I don't have a particular affection for these devices. They are probably one of the more toxic electronic products ever developed, in my opinion. In a similar vein is these. We're being told that the compact fluorescent light has now died out, and we're now being told to buy these LED light bulbs. And the LED light bulbs have very similar problems to the CFLs, although you can't really break them and release toxic gases and mercury fumes into your home. They have a very toxic light output to them. There's a lot of people who are reporting they get insomnia around some of these light bulbs, and light bulbs have turned into a minefield today. There's so many of them, and there's so many different light outputs, and if you choose the wrong light bulb, it can wreak havoc on your health. So I actually talk about that in the book. So I actually have another book called Toxic Light, which particularly talks about light bulbs and how to choose the right light bulb. So if you want to know how to choose the right light bulb, that information is in my book Toxic Light. But I don't recommend LED light bulbs. The only light bulbs I recommend are filament light bulbs, the traditional filament light bulbs. So that's light bulbs for you. So all of these products, we've gone through all the products on the table. And this is just a short overview of products. These particular products are the ones that I've identified as being quite toxic, and I've removed from service from my home because of those identifications that I made. And it's likely that if you've been following modern technology and you've been buying the latest products and you've been trying to save the environment by buying the curly light bulbs, then you may actually be quite sick. And it's something to be aware of, that certain humans have a tolerance to this and certain humans don't. And if you're in that category of humans who can't tolerate these products, then you're likely locked into frequent trips to the doctors and prescription medications that you don't need, because all you need to do is take these products out of service. And for many people, you will recover your health with that simple action. So being healthy can be as simple as turning off your electrical and electronic products. So I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and I wish you the very best of health. Thank you.